And so this test is designed to get at that a little bit. So a few of the differences are format, test questions. Not a standard multiple choice test, as I'm sure you all know. This one will have some what we call short answer or constructed response questions, and then some longer kinds of test questions or responses that we call performance tasks. And it'll also have some multiple choice questions as well. So it's really got kind of a mix of different kinds of test questions. Any of those kind of short answer and long answer kinds of questions require hand scoring. By hand scoring, I mean human beings sitting down and using a scoring rubric and evaluating that student work after they've received an adequate amount of training and then have proved that they can use that tool to accurately score student work. So it'll take a little bit longer for us to get results back for that reason. And again, these tests are aligned to the Common Core, higher level thinking skills, and they're going to undoubtedly give us a more realistic picture of how kids are doing when we talk about that trajectory toward college and career readiness, being ready at the end of high school for their next steps, whatever those might be. So a couple of examples for you if you happen to be a person that hasn't gone out and taken a look at the practice test. This first one is a 5th grade Smarter Balanced ELA practice test item. I won't read it line for line, but it's about hermit crabs. Hermit crabs are nature's recyclers. Like many other crabs, the hermit crab eats waste. By living on sea scraps, hermit crabs help keep oceans and shores clean. Some hermit crabs hide in reefs or live in shallow waters, while others scuttle on the ocean floor. There are also hermit crabs that spend most of their lives ashore. So a student would read that kind of stimuli, if you will, and then they're going to get an opportunity to answer a couple of short questions here. The first one, I won't do the second one. What conclusion can be drawn about the author's point of view about litter? Support your answer with details from the text. I'll tell you on this one, we just took a snippet of the passage that a student would read, so that's actually not the entire stimuli. But you can tell just by the way that question is worded, what conclusion can be drawn? Support your answer with details from the text. So students, again, how do you know? Can you please explain where your thinking is coming from as you answer that question? And a student would probably have 3 or 4 short responses based on a passage like that. This one is a grade 8 math item test question. Use the connect line tool to draw the image of the figure after following the following 2 transformations. One is a reflection over the x-axis, and then the second one is a horizontal translation 7 units to the left. So a student's going to have a chance to take a look at that, and then they'll use a tool that they can gain experience with by going through the practice test and the training test to be able to make those 2 transformations to that figure. And then I think I have one more. This is a grade 11 performance task in English language arts, and it's about financial literacy. So what happens is a student's going to read the task, and what it's basically saying is you're in a college economics class and your professor wants you to learn a little bit more about financial literacy. So then when you go over to the right, it says you're going to end up writing an argumentative essay on the topic using the resources that are provided. So you'll look at several resources and then you'll answer some questions about that. So the first one says, all of the sources provide information about financial literacy education. Which source would most likely be relevant to students researching new approaches to increasing people's financial literacy? Support your response with two details from the source, justify your answer, and support it with information from the source. So again, you see this theme of connecting back to the source information and really grounding your thinking in what you're finding from those sources. Okay, just a few more slides, and then it's going to be your turn to ask questions. So the test might take a little longer because we're asking kids to spend more time explaining their thinking. I think it's important to note that the number of questions associated with these assessments is about the same as we've had on our previous state tests, our Oaks tests, but they are engaging students in different ways where students are, again, going to be explaining their thinking, pointing back to source information. These are estimates that came out before the field test last year. Smarter Balanced is working on doing some time studies so that we can kind of better understand what the real impact in terms of time is. And you can see over on the far right column, I obviously didn't get my my table built the right way. All the words are messed up on there. But it's, you know, give or take, it's about 3 hours for the ELA and 3 hours for the math test as well. The tests are really broken up into 2 parts. There's a part that we call the computer adaptive portion, and that's where most of your kind of multiple choice style questions are. And then the performance task that you just saw an example of. These are untimed assessments, so students can take multiple sessions to complete any of it. And in fact, we recommend, especially for the performance task, that students get a couple of days or a couple of sessions, maybe 45 minutes to 60 minutes long, to be able to dig in there so that they can stay fresh and don't get fatigued as they go through it. So we're going to learn a lot more about this as we